What's up? What's happening? It's the one and only Jeff Axel, Big Buckets, Boogaloo, Freaky Deaky in the mid range. And I'm out here chilling with the crew. Got my man's Tay Archive. How you living, man?
Doing good. Just getting excited for the playoffs. You know.
Yeah, man. Playoffs gonna be on fire. Got my man hosts the New Faces podcast. Brandon, how you living?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. Excited for our team this year. For once, I actually don't have any bad feelings yet. So we're living good.
Yeah, man. I was stress free on the timeline this year with the Celtics. I
That is a
ain't gonna
fact.
lie.
That is a fact. Last year was a complete opposite feeling. So this year it's crazy different. Crazy different.
It's refreshing. Yeah, I'm like, man, we winning by 12 a game. I see us get a lead cut down to 7. Like, all right, tighten up, yo. It's just different, man. Like, no guy chucking threes and blowing leads and all that bullshit. But we want to start off with the playoffs. Start off in the West Coast. We got a lot of intriguing series. Going to start with the Mavericks and the Clippers, the 4-5 matchup. Kyrie Irving been playing excellent ball this season. Looks very happy. Looks peaceful. Executing at a high level. Him and Luka averaging 34, 10, and 9. Just a ridiculously high level. Daniel Gafford came through the trade deadline, changed the trajectory of the team. They went 18-2 to finish out the year. PJ Washington being a good stretch forward. Tim Hardaway Jr., he's probably X factor in this series, in my opinion. Tay, how you feel about this series?
This is probably gonna be one of the best series. But I feel like every time we say that, it's the exact opposite. But like how we said, like Knicks Cavs, I think everyone had that going to 7. It didn't, like I feel like every time we say that, it never happens. But yeah, as of now, I do think this will be a great series. If I had to pick a team, I'm gonna say Mavs in 6. I think they just come in, take care of business, avoid the game 7, which would be in LA. Yeah, I just think Luka's just too much. Like just knowing him just in previous years, just being a playoff riser, like he's historically a playoff performer. Like I know he's young, it might be crazy to say, but he's one of them guys. So just with him alone on the team, I do think the Mavs take care of business in 6.
I mean, he does average 37 against them. Brandon, how you feeling about the series?
Yeah, so much like what he said, like everyone thinks it's gonna be a close series. I'm actually on the opposite side. I don't think it's going to be close. I think the Mavericks are shutting them out in 5 or 6. I probably go 6. It's just out of respect. Because the thing is Kawhi is not fully healthy. And then your best 2 other players are James Harden and Paul George, who we know don't do well in the playoffs. So I don't. And James Harden, even this year, hasn't really been all that impressive. Like, he's just kind of been a guy there as opposed to one of the guys. Like, I've been more impressed with games with Russell Westbrook than James Harden throughout this year. So for me, I'm going Mavs in 6. I think Luka dominates. Kyrie is the second best player on the floor. Because, again, I don't know how many games Kawhi is really going to play. And I also don't think Ty Lue has been, in his Clippers tenure, that great of a coach. That may be an unpopular opinion, but I feel like in certain situations, his lineups are weird. He's trying to throw in PJ Tucker in there. We know he can't do nothing anymore. Like, I just don't see where the Clippers have an advantage over the Mavericks at this point. And I know they've beaten the Mavericks in the past, but that was the 20 and 21-year-old Luka Doncic, whereas now this man is MVP candidate type of guy, averaging 30 in the regular season. So it's, to me, I don't see how the Mavericks even lose this series. I'm going Mavericks in 6, and if Kawhi's out, it might be a sweep.
Wow. I too have the Mavericks in this series. I just think Luka, didn't they 3-0, if I'm not mistaken? I'm looking at the regular season matchups. Well, the Clippers won 2-1, but with Kawhi being injured, that really concerns me in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, and then Paul George being inconsistent in the playoffs, Harden having disappearing acts in the playoffs, I'm a little nervous in all honesty. So I'm probably going to have to say Mavericks in 6, but it wouldn't surprise me if it went 7. I don't see 5 though. I just don't see that. But I don't know. Like, depending on Paul George and James Harden, it has me nervous. That's what it is. That's why I can't really trust them.
So let me ask do you have the games that they won? Like what dates they were? Like when it was? Because I think that's a vital point to this. Because
they were both pre-deadline.
Okay.
All their games were in 2023. So
okay.
November 2023. Mm-hmm.
Those teams were two totally different teams at that point. The Clippers found their stride at that point because the Clippers got hot in December, January into February a little bit, where they were considered, oh, this is going to be a championship type of team, where the Mavericks didn't really have that depth at that point where they got PJ Washington and Gafford and those guys. So I think that trade deadline was when everything changed for both teams. And these are two totally different teams we're looking at now, to me, since the trade deadline. Like, I don't think that's just where the Mavericks, like where I lean Mavericks. And the games might be close, but why I say it might be 5, it's like one of those close like gentleman sweeps where it could be a 4 or 5 point game, but they have the guys that can close it out as opposed to the Clippers.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So we're all in agreement for Mavs in 6. Another series, the Wolves versus the Suns. 3 versus 6 matchup. The Suns played well to end the season. I'm giving them their credit. 7-3 in their last 10. They beat playoff teams to get to the 6th seed, avoid the play-in. I'll give credit where it's due. Bradley Beal seemed to be playing better towards the end of the season. He seemed to be getting a rhythm. Played with great defense, great intensity. I don't know, man. Like, they 3-0'd the Timberwolves, including the game on Sunday, where they went into Minnesota and won by double digits. I don't know if that's a great matchup for Minnesota, but I'm not sure. I'm on the fence with this series. Like, I'm gonna come back to my prediction, but Tay, what do you think about this series?
Okay, so here's the thing about the whole matchup thing. I think the Timberwolves have a lot of guys to throw on their scores. Like, I think there's a KD stopper. I've been calling him that for a few years now. Yeah.
Who,
I think
Jaden McDaniels?
Yes. I do think. I mean, like, let's not act like KD just been this dominating factor these past few years. Put Jaden, like, Aaron Gordon slowed him down. And I would say Jaden's a better defender than Aaron Gordon. So I feel like they have the defense for it. Like, they both do have the same deficiencies. They both struggle in the fourth quarter when it comes to their offense. Like, they both can't really seem to close the game out. So I would say that cancels out. So I wouldn't say that's important, but I do think the Timberwolves have the guys. They have Jaden to play defense. Anthony Edwards plays defense. Everyone plays defense on their team. So with that being said, and they were a top defense this year. They had Defensive Player of the Year on their team, which can get played off the court though, because the Suns do like to run a lot of small ball. They do. KD plays the 5 a lot at the end of the games. Nurkic isn't really on the court a lot, especially when they get certain matchups. So Timberwolves just got to be willing to run small ball. Like, I guess Cat at the 5. I mean, that'd be the only way. Like that's how they would combat the Suns small ball. And I think they have the defense, they have the athleticism to do that. But yeah, I expect a great series from Anthony Edwards. I think he should be the best player in the series. So yeah, I'm going Timberwolves in 7.
I like Anthony Edwards versus Devin Booker. I think that's going to be a fire matchup.
Yeah.
Brandon, how you feeling about the series?
I'm pretty much in the same boat as Tay, where it's like both of them have their issues in the fourth quarter, like getting easy shots. Because the Suns, their best 3 guys rely on the mid range. That none of them really shoot the 3-point. I mean, Bradley Beal shoots the 3-point pretty well, but their main 2 guys, I'll say Devin Booker and KD, they rely on kind of getting tough shots. So what's leaning me towards the Timberwolves is I feel like the Suns are such an unserious team as a whole. Like, I don't trust Nurkic against Gobert. I don't. And if you take Nurkic out, you're not going to put – I mean, you could put Bol in. I don't really know how well that's going to help you. Like, is KD going to be the 5 then? Are they going to put Eubanks in? What is their situational basketball when it comes to depth? And I think that's what's really going to matter is the depth. And I just trust the Timberwolves team as a whole more. I know they're trying to work in Towns, and he's been just a horrible playoff player sometimes where he's going to foul out. But that probably will end up being in their favor if he ends up fouling out some games. Because most times you're just going to want to sub him out. You're going to want to put in McDaniels. You could put in and at the 3 or whatever the case is. You could put Anderson in there. You could put Naz Reid at the 2. Like, they have a multitude of options they can work with in the Timberwolves team. And I guess the main factor for me is I think Ant's going to prove himself this series as the best shooting guard in the NBA. I think this is where it happens because everyone's been looking at Devin Booker as that. Even though he doesn't get that respect, it's still like the shooting guard position is kind of up in the air. And I think they lean it towards Devin Booker. So I think Ant's going to actually end up taking that in this series. And I'll go Timberwolves in 7 because I do think both of them can be unserious at times. But the Suns are so much more unserious. Like when they are not locked in, they are super not locked in. Like it's crazy to watch them just be a disaster, especially when they're up in games. Like
the game with the Clippers was insane, bro.
Horrible. Like I just don't understand how. And that was a fully healthy Suns team. I'm pretty sure. I mean, granted, I trust Grayson Allen a little bit, which is shocking, but outside of that, like that's still another guard. You know what I mean? Like, who are their wings that are going to help with the Timberwolves wings? Who's going to stop Anthony Edwards? Who's going to stop Gobert? I don't know. I know Gobert's not like an offensive player, but Nurkic is. I really don't see Nurkic being a factor at all in this series.
I don't know. I'm kind of y'all are swaying me towards the Wolves, especially since the Suns are so inconsistent. And the Wolves do have a point guard in Mike Conley.
Yeah,
we Suns really don't. Man, I'm on the fence here. Like Ant-Man, he averages over 30 in the playoffs too. I'm rolling with y'all, man. Like I know everybody just swears that these young players are scared of the older players. Oh, you want to avoid it? And it's like, nah, bro. Like Ant-Man wants to smoke. I think he makes a statement, gets his first playoff series win. I think it happens this year. The trajectory, the way he's been playing. Yeah, I'm rolling with Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Wolves in 7. It'll be a hard-fought series, but Wolves in 7.
I think we're all in the same boat in terms of the number in the series too.
Yeah, it can go either way. It wasn't surprising if Phoenix won, but everybody has to stay healthy the whole 7 games. I don't know if that'll be the case with Phoenix. They got issues when it comes to durability. And like I said, sometimes they'll just come out and be cheeky leaks. Like you said, they lose focus. You down 30 when playoff spot on the line. Luckily, they got to the 6th seed, but you can't play like that down the stretch. Like it was unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, they're lucky the Pelicans kind of fell apart there. Otherwise, they would have been playing against the Lakers. And they probably would have been 8th seed. And maybe it's still a good matchup for them. We'll get to the Thunder in a little bit, but it's like I just have too much faith at this point watching Ant play. And also, to your point of like no one's being afraid. I think players are afraid of playing LeBron and Steph Curry. I don't think a lot of players are afraid of playing KD. Whether that's fair or not, like I mean, you saw the Celtics sweep them, and KD was fully healthy that year and played well that year for the most part, and then they came in and just stole his lunch money every game, like every single game. And then the next year after that, when he plays with the Suns, it's like they made it to a second round, but the Clippers' best player was Russell Westbrook at that point. So I don't know. I don't see how the Suns, given how this year unfolded, that how they win a series personally.
I don't really see them flipping the switch, but me and Tay, we had a discussion before we move on to the next series. Like, if they lose in the first round, this would be one of the biggest disappointments in the super team era, in my opinion.
100%.
They didn't
I
trade
got a
all these.
question.
What's up?
You said the Suns are a super team?
You said they are?
I'm asking you.
Yes.
Wait,
Absolutely.
okay.
Score 30 a game.
So why aren't the Celtics a super team?
We don't have three guys that average 30 points per game. We have a well-balanced roster.
That first off,
all-stars.
Bradley
we
Beal
only have one, maybe two people on the All-NBA team. We somehow didn't get Coach of the Year despite being 14 games ahead of the second place.
That was
apparently it's rumored we're not going to get Executive of the Year, which is the craziest part of it all.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. I don't think the Suns are a super team only because of Bradley Beal. They do have a great 1 and 2 punch, but Bradley Beal being injured every other game, I can't consider them a super team because of that. I understand what Tay is saying, because I do think that the Celtics could be considered that personally because of how good we are 1 to 5, plus Al Horford, plus the rise of Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard. I'm not mad at anyone saying we're a super team because we have been that great. But understandably also with the super team thing being said, when you look at a super team, like you see, like you go like the Miami Heat, like LeBron was first team. Dwayne, I don't remember if Dwayne Wade was first or second team, but he was on one of the All NBA teams, I'm sure. And then Chris Bosh was probably borderline. Again, I don't remember the whole thing on that, but I don't feel like Jason Tatum will get first team. I don't know if Jaylen Brown gets a team this year, and that could be because of how great because of how great the field is, like in terms of talent. But I also feel like sometimes when you have a team that good, sometimes you're not going to get that respect for whatever reason. It's kind of like the Warriors, where like KD was like felt like the best player in the world when he went to the Warriors, but he wasn't going to get MVP because they have a loaded roster. That's kind of the same thing with the Celtics. But I think obviously the Warriors, I think we're a better team. But I'm getting into specifics. But to his question, I do think we can be considered a super team depending on how you look at it. But I wouldn't, if you're asking me about the Suns or a super team, I don't think so. No, because they don't have anyone outside of those big three that are worth really. I mean, again, Grayson Allen is solid, but I would pick Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Kristaps over him every single day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just curious. He said the Suns are a super team. You can't do that. You cannot say that. You can't say that.
We can all agree.
Super team too, then.
Outside of super team point, we can all agree that them losing the first round would be a big ass disappointment.
It would be for sure.
Yes, that is true.
Like they ain't trade all these draft picks, Bridges and Cam Johnson. They didn't trade all that for this,
right?
Like Chris Paul trade the wash, whatever, because it's like he's finished, but like that's not really a loss, to be honest. Like they didn't really give up much, get Beal, so but
yeah, that's the funny part of it is like Beal was the guy you really didn't need, but you really didn't give up much for him in the first place because you got rid of Chris Paul. Like who cares? Like people say the Suns need a point guard, but it's not like Chris Paul was going to be healthy the whole year for him to be a point guard for the team anyway. So it's not like that even mattered.
That's true.
Like at all.
So we're going to slide to the next series out the West. Lakers and Nuggets. Nuggets have beaten the Lakers 8 times in a row. I think this Laker team is slightly better than last year's Laker team. D'Lo, he averaged 6 points per game last series against the Nuggets. That's one of the main reasons they got swept. AD averaged 28 a game. Like he actually played well against Jokic last year. D'Lo is the X factor in this series. They're going to lose in 6. I don't think they got answers for the Murray-Jokic pick and roll. Jokic is going to get his 30-point triple-doubles most likely. I got Denver in 6. But I think the Lakers put up a fight. What do you think, Tay?
I think you're being too nice. I got the Nuggets in 5. I want to say 4 so bad, but I think Nuggets might have an off night, up 3-0. The Lakers got to get one just to not look bad. That's what I think. So I'm definitely going with Nuggets in 5. This was the team everyone was afraid of. This was the team everyone was ducking. Yeah, I mean they were reigning champs, looking to go back, and yeah, like the Lakers just. I don't know. I just don't think they have it. Like, you got Anthony Davis. You don't know what kind of Anthony Davis you'll get, and they've been healthy this season. So I won't even bring the injury card because AD and LeBron have been healthy. I won't even do that. Just as a whole, the Lakers they don't really have a point of attack defender, and then I think AD will pretty much be a non-factor against Jokic. I think Jokic is going to do whatever regardless, just like any other time. They just don't have any answers for what the Nuggets are gonna do. They don't have anyone to guard Jamal Murray. Like they just don't have it. They just do not have the guys to stop the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets will dominate. Honestly, like I said, Nuggets in 5.
Brandon, what do you think?
Tell you didn't want to say Nuggets in 4?
I'm really close to.
Hey, listen, I got you. Nuggets in 4. This is not happening. I'm sick. Listen, here's the thing. This is going to go to a show that I watch, but I actually do like Nick Wright despite his dislike for the Celtics. I like the show. I think they're funny as like a trio. He's out of his mind for thinking the Lakers have any chance in this. They have no chance. None. The reason why is because they don't have anybody that can stop Jokic. They don't. I know they get more days off. That's not going to matter because the Nuggets get the same amount of days off. It's the only way I can see the Nuggets losing a game against the Lakers because they've beaten them 13 straight times or something along those lines. The only way I could see the Nuggets having an off night is if Michael Porter Jr. is kind of getting in his head with his whole family kind of disintegrating a little bit with Jonte and his brother going to jail. But even then, Michael Porter wasn't really that great in the playoffs to begin with anyway. Like, he was having a lot of bad games anyway. So Aaron Gordon was the third best player, or, KCP, or, whatever the case is. But they don't have anyone to stop Jokic. They don't have anyone to stop Murray. Anthony Davis against Jokic or against white centers for some reason just doesn't do well. It's a weird thing with Anthony Davis. I don't know why. But white guys, he just does not play well against. I don't see where in any way, shape, or form. And I give the Lakers respect because they came back and blah, blah, blah. But I don't see how I don't think D'Lo has a great series. I don't think Austin Reeves can have an okay series. He'll have a game or two. But, yeah, I don't see how the Nuggets don't walk away as a sweep with this.
Yeah, Rui and Austin Reeves and D'Lo, and Taurean Prince, they're the X factors. They have to come and play. They have to hit shots. I do believe that the Nuggets, like I said, they've won all 3 games this season, 2 of them by double digits.
Yeah.
So, just not really a great matchup. 6 might be a little too generous.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, here's the thing. Stick with your pick, though. I mean, because realistically, I don't think I'm going sweep, and that's just like 25%. I don't like the Lakers, like as a Celtics fan. But like, I really don't think the Nuggets could. I think the Nuggets could sweep them easily. I don't see a world where the Lakers actually win a series. But I do think LeBron can have a game or two where he just goes ballistic and there's just no answer for him either. But I'm going sweep just because I think Mike Malone is a top 3 coach, and he doesn't get talked about as a top 3 coach, but I think he's a top 3 coach. I think Christian Braun's rise has been really solid. I think who's the rookie? Something Peyton something. I forget his name.
Peyton Watson.
Second year, Peyton Watson. Yeah,
bro, he defensively could play. Like, he is just a solid rotational guy. Reggie Jackson, on and off, but I think he'll have a couple on games. Because I mean, who's their backup guard? It's not Dennis Schroeder anymore. It's Gabe Vincent, right?
Yeah,
he popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, sit him down. No point for him in the series. Like, it's just gonna be one of those series where I don't see the matchups working out. I just don't, and I don't. D'Lo's not gonna have a bad series like that again, but he's not gonna have a good enough series where it's gonna matter.
I don't know. The only reason why I'm saying 6 is because Murray was hurt towards the end of the season. I don't really know how their rhythm is. Like, I don't know how he is. If he comes out and does his usual playoff riser, averaging 6 to 7 more points per game shit, now I'm like, all right, it's over. But
yeah, it's a fact. Oh, one more thing. The difference in coaching is going to matter too. Malone versus Ham.
Absolutely.
Ham's going to have one of those
around him.
Right, like he's going to have one of those games where the Lakers are up. He's like, okay, we can sit Braun for 5 minutes, and the Nuggets are going to go on a tear, and he's not going to call a timeout, and he's not going to make a change. He's not going to do anything, and that's going to hurt him. There's going to be at least one game where Ham does that. So,
yeah, hands in his pockets, just
watching. I don't see the Nuggets losing a game in that series.
So, last series we're gonna go to in the West, Oklahoma City Thunder versus either the Pelicans or the Kings. I'm thinking the Kings due to, but we can discuss both sides real quick. If they play the Kings, that's gonna be an intriguing series. Like, I like the Fox versus Shea matchup. I like Sabonis versus Chet. Keegan Murray versus Jalen Williams. It's a lot of good matchups in this series. Lou Dort could potentially be an X factor. Isaiah Joe. I wish Malik Monk was in this series. He really had his series lit, but injuries happen. I got the Thunder in 6 if they play the Kings. If they play the Pelicans can turn around. I'm looking at you, Brandon Ingram. This game hasn't started yet. Like, this is Friday night, but the game hasn't started yet. But Brandon Ingram, ever since the Olympics last season, I've been very disappointed in this play. Like, he's not who I thought he was. I'll just leave it at that. He needs to step up tonight and prove he's that guy, and they need to beat Sacramento. Sacramento's injured too. I know Zion's a bigger impact, but I mean, if you really the max player, number one option, if people think you are, then make it shake tonight. Get your team to the playoffs. If they play the Thunder without Zion, that's a sweep. Tay, what do you think about whoever the Thunder play?
I got Thunder in 5 either way. I'm a believer in the Thunder. I'm not worried about experience or anything like that. I feel like they proved it in the regular season. Like they beat everyone pretty much. Like I think they got their franchise guy. They play defense. All of them play defense outside of number 3, Josh Giddey. Yeah, outside of him.
Sick.
Yeah, I was trying not to, but yeah, they all play defense, which is good. It's hard to get young teams to buy in to play defense, and they do that. So that's always the plus. Just like the Magic, them too. We'll get there, but yeah, I'm for sure. I'm bought in with the Thunder. I think they're head and shoulders better. Only issue I have with them is their rebounding. And a lot of times, guys, stuff changes in the playoffs. Like random, like who knows? Jalen Williams can get 10, like like that. Stuff like that happens in the playoffs. All they got to do is come together. Everyone go for the board. Just crash the board. That's how you. That's just effort. So I'm not really worried about the Thunder losing anything like that. I do think Shea will show up. I've been hearing that a lot. People are questioning. I've never heard that from a guy that hasn't been to the playoffs. I've never really heard questions about a guy as much as Shea. Like,
the thing is, he's only played 15 games. One of them was his rookie year when they was playing against the Warriors. He actually had a decent series against them, but that was Lou Will who was dragging that series out. He had a 50-point game and everything. So between that and his second playoff appearance, that was Chris Paul when he was revitalized with the Thunder and hooping. Yeah. And Shea was like the second or third option on that team.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really think it's fair to use those two series and be like, yo, he don't do shit in the playoffs. That's not.
It's not even that. People are just saying he won't. Like,
They feel like he's
this is the
dependent on free
different.
throws. That's what I've been hearing. I think he's gonna cook.
He can still score. Like, I'm not really a free throw guy. Like, if I'm a basketball player, right, and I know if I could run into your chest and just jump back and I'm gonna get 2 points, I'm gonna do that. I think it's not fun to watch. Like, don't get me wrong, but as a scorer, you gotta be smart too. Those are points as well. Those are easy points. They're free throws. That's what it's called. Like, knowing that you won't get as many calls in the playoffs, Shea can score. Like, let's not act like he can't score. He just super reliant on free throws. Shea can score at all three levels. Yeah, like, he's one of the best finishers around the rim, one of the best mid-range shooters. He improved from the three-point line. Shea can score the ball at all three levels. And if the free throws aren't, if the foul calls aren't coming his way, that's fine. He can still score. So, like I said, I've never heard a guy like with this much question before his first playoff game as the guy. Like, it's been a while, but yeah, I have the Thunder in 5, regardless of who they play.
Brandon, what you think?
So I do think the Kings will beat the Pelicans tonight. First off, I hope they beat the Pelicans, because without Zion, that team is just not fun to watch in any way, shape, or form. Like, I don't want to watch a Brandon Ingram-led team or a CJ McCollum-led team in any, at all. Just not for me. With that being said, I do think the Thunder win in 6. I do factor in playoff experience for me personally. My biggest worry with the Thunder is the rebounding, and they're playing a guy in Sabonis who gets 14 rebounds a game. Now, I know playoff-wise, he's not the best. He hasn't proven as a top-tier playoff player, but I guess for me, it's like you're not playing against a Draymond Green who is like rugged, ready to fight, ready to throw bows at all points. You're not playing a guy like that. Like, you're playing Chet Holmgren, who's smaller than you in that regard. So I think that helps in the Kings' favor to win a game or two. I think this series would have been very interesting had Malik Monk not been hurt. I do think Keon Ellis is actually a solid player for them coming in.
Yes.
And I always have faith in Fox as a point guard. But the Thunder are a deeper team. The Thunder work together really well. Another thing, and I know we're not, we shouldn't really hype this guy up, but unfortunately, Josh Giddey has been playing really well the past couple games, this second half of the season. Like, he's really kind of gotten it together. So for that reason, I got Thunder in 6, and I think their defense is elite. Along with that, with the Thunder's offensive ability, with Jalen Williams, with Chet Holmgren, with Shai Gilgeous, and also, I mean, to for the Thunder, shit, they better win. Damn, you can't be the 1 seed, lose to a team that's vying for a plan. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. Like, it's just, they got to win this series. I know they're young and they don't really have to per se, but that's a bad look if you lose. I don't think they do. I think Shai Gilgeous has a great series, and I don't think there's a guy on the Kings that can guard him.
They won't throw Mitchell out there. They won't try.
They could, but he's an offensive liability at this point. Like, all right, you throw him on there. Well, now you were really relying on Fox to score 30 to 40 a game, which you can do, but I don't see that consistently happening. And then you got to worry about what Sabonis is, foul trouble wise, or if he's struggling with Chet Holmgren for whatever reason, which I don't think he will. Like I said, I don't think he will. He'll be a factor for the Kings. But yeah, I think Thunder in 6. I think Fox and Sabonis get a game where they're just unstoppable. But overall, the Thunder team itself is just too much for the Kings.
Absolutely. Some really, really intriguing series in the Western Conference for sure. Now we're going to slide to the East. First series I would like to talk about is the 3-6 matchup. The Pacers versus the Bucks. Tyrese Halliburton, he hasn't really been the same since the hamstring issue from earlier in the season. But the trade of Pascal Siakam, initially it was a little clunky. But they got together towards the end of the season. Pascal looked very comfortable down the stretch as a go-to guy. Had moments he was averaging about 27 a game. So I got the Pacers in this series, especially if Giannis doesn't play. He's not going to play in game one. And with a calf being so close to the Achilles, like I wouldn't risk him going out there in all honesty. I do believe Dame plays better without Giannis. So does Bobby Portis. But it's just not enough. I think that Indiana has the advantage. And the X factor, in my opinion, is Miles Turner. I'm going to take Indiana in 6. How you feeling, T?
I agree. I think the Pacers get it done. I saw Giannis might be out 2 to 4 weeks. Like he might miss this whole series. Yeah, I did see that earlier today. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I believe in a Dame led Bucks, especially with Brook Lopez there too, which can be played off the court against a team like the Pacers. Both teams don't play defense, so that's not really an issue. And the Pacers have one of the best offenses this season. And
number 2.
Yeah. I expect Tyrese to come back. I expect him to. You remember the in-season tournament, Tyrese? Remember that? I think that guy comes back this playoffs, you know.
They done had a week off. I hope
Yeah,
so.
that's what I'm saying. Like I think this rest is good, you know. Maybe some player, I don't know what they do during this break, but hopefully he comes back fresh and we can get that in-season tournament, Tyrese, that we got. So yeah, I got the Pacers in 7.
7. So they winning in Milwaukee.
Yep.
How you feeling about the series, Brandon?
I'm led to never believe in a Doc Rivers led team at this point. Just as you know, for experience and for the past like 10 years, even you could just look at it and just be like, no. I don't want to say that I think the Pacers are a better team. Like it's weird because I'm not like sold on the Pacers, but like the Bucks have been really that bad since they changed coaches, and now with Giannis out, I gotta go Pacers in 6 because I do think they'll probably finish it off in Indiana. It's going to lead to a very tumultuous offseason for the Bucks because I'm going to say this here. I've always said this. Dame did not want to go to Milwaukee. He had no interest in Milwaukee. You see him play. He doesn't look like he wants to be in Milwaukee. There's just nothing about him playing there that feels natural, like at all. Him and Giannis never really got it together, like in terms of like figuring out the pick and roll and, like Dame wasn't like a willing shooter in some games. And then some games he was way too willing. Like there was just no chemistry there. And then again, you throw that on top of the fact that they have really outside of their 3. And then I guess you could throw in Brook Lopez, anybody that's worth anything. Like, I don't care about Pat Bev, obviously. There's just no use for him there. Jay Crowder is just what he is at this point. They just don't have any wing depth or wings in general at this point either. Like Chris Middleton on and off an injury. I don't see how the Pacers don't get this done. I'll go Pacers in 6. If the Bucks win, though, that makes it very interesting for Giannis's return. But I don't think he plays a game in the series, and that's really the biggest thing. Is like if Giannis was there, I would probably pick the Bucks, but with him out, no.
Yeah, they are 17-19 under Doc Rivers, so
ugly.
Yeah, and the Pacers were 4-1 against them. This is before Doc got there and everything. So when Adrian Griffin was there, they were 4-1 against him. Only game that they beat him, Giannis had to score 64 points. So it just ain't a good matchup for the Bucks.
No, and there's also beef there too. There is a good amount of beef there, but it's really not beef at the same time because like I think most of it was with Giannis and it was with Dame and Tyrese a little bit, but I think Giannis had a lot more to do with that competitive hatred because like he does play with a passion, and I think Giannis kind of leads that charge, and I don't think Dame is really going to like care all that much about beef with Tyrese. So
that shit was hilarious. Them boys signed James Johnson the next day. Like a triple black belt. It's like he ain't running up in this locker room no more.
It's crazy. The Bucks could have used him too, but
Yeah, man. I don't like. Yeah, 6. I'm gonna say 6. That was with Giannis throughout the season, so he really had to score 64. Not looking good for them. Now we're gonna go to the 2-7 series. The Knicks versus the Sixers. Jalen Brunson was on a heater to end the season. What was it, 38 per game over the last 12? Just ridiculously all NBA, potentially first team level. Great basketball he was playing. This is one of the best Knicks seasons in my lifetime. I'm 31 years old. I'll give him credit where it's due. Number 2 seed, played great ball. But the way Dante's been playing, OG, I'm gonna take the Knicks in 6, especially since Embiid isn't healthy, and I don't see him getting through 4 games without going to the locker room at any point. And with the way how physical the Knicks play, Josh Hart's going to be a factor. Dante DiVincenzo is going to be a factor. Same with OG. It's going to be low scoring. This game's going to remind you of the early 2000s, in my opinion. Like, going to have them low hundreds, high 90-point games, like grind it out, real physical. But give me the Knicks in 6. Tay, what do you think?
I'm going Knicks in 5. Jalen Brunson, as a Knicks fan, Jalen Brunson is the best Knick I've ever seen on my team, ever.
You pass your man Melo. You just want to
Yes,
throw Melo to the
yes,
side?
he's better than Melo. Yes,
My boy said the same thing too.
he's better than Melo. I'm sorry, he just is like he's better. I love Melo. Is still my favorite player. Yeah, Brunson's better than Melo, man. Yeah, as far as like just the carry job Brunson has to do every night. Like I don't think Melo was capable of this. He would get his points. Don't get me wrong, but just just the extra like. He passes the ball as well, and they win games, stuff like that. He's efficient too. It's not just 30 shots and like he's efficient. Like Brunson is everything you want in a guy. So yeah, like I said, Brunson is the best Knick I've seen with my eyes. Yeah, I think he will outplay Embiid. I do expect Embiid to struggle a little bit. I don't know why I keep seeing oh, Knicks don't have anyone to guard Embiid. Yes, we do. We definitely do. I think
And he
he'll
stinks
struggle.
in the playoffs. Like, I'm
Yeah,
tired of this. I heard a couple analysts talking about that shit. Like, yo, if y'all watch him in the playoffs,
right.
he consistently drops every single year. Or he's hurt every single year.
Yep.
But continue. I ain't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Right. So I definitely think we have the personnel for the 76ers, like, to stop Embiid. We got Mitchell Robinson. He could definitely guard him. iHeart, he might get some second team on defense looks. We'll see. I've been hearing that. I've been seeing that. But yeah, it's very underrated defender for sure. He can definitely guard him. And even throw OG on him. He can guard him too. We got the personnel for it. OG is one of them guys. OG can guard anybody in the NBA to me. So I just don't think the Sixers don't have that point of attack defender like we got. They won't out rebound us. They won't outshoot us. Like they just don't really. They're not gonna win in any like area of the game. I think the coaches are pretty even. And the Knicks will play 5 people for 45 minutes. So Nick Nurse does that too. Nobody says that. He does the same thing.
Yeah,
But
he does.
yeah. I definitely have Knicks in 5. I think we should breeze through the 76ers.
It all depends on how Maxey plays. I didn't really like how he played against Miami. That wasn't the greatest performance, but it depends how he plays. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm Knicks in 5 as well. I'll go with Knicks love first because I think Brunson is a playoff performer. I think Jalen Brunson is the guy. He'll be the best player on the court this series. It also matters that OG and Newbie, when he's playing, they win. It's just as simple as that. He does a lot of things that certain guys can't do. He's a top level defender, and he's a solid scorer. He fills in nicely in his role. which is needed for what the Knicks have because they have a Jalen Brunson who could score. And then if Dante DiVincenzo feels like hitting 6 threes, he's going to hit them. Like that team is built so well chemistry wise. But to Jeff's point on like Embiid, I have the same passion. Every year they try to give this guy like, oh, this is his year, oh, this is the time. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Stop putting Embiid in conversations that he doesn't belong in. It's never gonna fucking happen. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. It's never gonna fucking happen. Stop doing it. You'll have a game. You'll have a game where he's really good. But he's not fully healthy. He's never fully healthy. But they give that as an excuse as opposed to, oh no, he's just playing like dog shit. Like he's gonna have a bad series because I get like the first series is usually like where he shines, to be honest. But even still, this is a better team. The Knicks are a better team. I just don't see why anyone would think the Sixers could win this series because their best player is not fully healthy and doesn't perform in the playoffs well. The only hope they have is Tyrese Maxey, but then you got to rely on Tobias Harris, who is awful this year, absolutely terrible. That's another thing people are forgetting that they got to rely on other guys too. Batum is not going to score 20 points. That's never going to happen again. Right, like that. He came out of nowhere, and good for them because whatever. But still, and then you got Kyle Lowry. He's probably the most Honestly, he's probably the most reliable player you have defensively. So yeah. I don't see the Knicks winning the series. Kelly Oubre's solid too, but I don't see the Sixers. I'm sorry, I don't see the Sixers winning the series. The Knicks are just too they're too well of an oiled machine, to lose to a team that's relying on their unhealthy center to win them games. I'm going Knicks in 5.
Yeah, man, intriguing series. It's one of the best Knicks seasons I've seen. Tay told me 2012-13. I don't know. It seems a little better because they fought through hella injuries. Like, I think I would take this team more so than that one. Like, that team was healthy.
Right.
I remember we had to play them hooligans in the playoffs, like J.R. Smith, like catching the Holy Ghost after hitting half-court shots, and Steve Novak. I hated that team. Next series, Orlando Magic versus Cleveland Cavaliers. The casual fans are going to hate this series. They gave the casual fan time slot, 1 p.m. tomorrow, first game. This series is probably going to be on NBA TV, unfortunately. But
it is.
I like the series. I think it's going to be competitive. Orlando's second in the league in defense. They got 2 guys that can score 20 a game. They don't have a lot of playoff experience, but this is where you make your name. I believe Paolo steps his game up. I think he's going to be a playoff riser. I could be wrong. Like, we'll quote it. Give me Orlando in 7 due to Donovan Mitchell and Garland just not coexisting well enough for my liking. Like, I don't see them winning this series. I can't get last year's series against the Knicks out of my head. They got so overwhelmed. Orlando was physical like the Knicks are. I mean, not as good, but they play defense like Jonathan Isaac. He's going to make it hard on Mitchell. Like, Jalen Suggs going to make it hard. Like, they got wing defenders that could test everything. So, I'm rolling with Orlando in 7. What do you think, Tay?
I'm going Cleveland in 7. I am. The Magic 3-point shooting just worries me. Like, that's kind of that's how the Cavs lost last season, and then all season they just got a bunch of 3-point shooters, so that didn't happen anymore. I think the Magic, they just don't got they don't have the 3-point shooting. They don't have a guy to go to hit threes. Like Franz doesn't hit 3 well. Jalen Suggs, no. Like, they don't have any 3-point shooters on their team, really. So I think they'll be easy to guard. And their offense isn't good either. So with that being said, your offense isn't that good. And then you don't have 3-point shooting in the top. That means you have to hit tough shots. That's not a recipe of winning. So yeah. And I also think Cleveland has the guy to guard Paolo. They have
Who, Mobley?
yes. Perfect. That's a perfect guy to guard Paolo.
You think Mobley's gonna clamp up Paolo?
Yes. I'm not gonna sit here and say clamp up, but give him problems. Yeah. Like Paolo isn't this efficient player, like
Right.
So you keep Paolo to 40% or even below that. That's good defense, So I think Mobley is the guy. He has the speed for it. He can guard from 3-point line to paint. First team on defense last year, I believe. Yeah, he's taller than Paolo too. So they learned from last year. Just know that Knicks series is still in their head. They got dominated in the paint by Josh Hart, which is embarrassing. Yeah. So I have the Cavs in 7. Just off of them losing last year. I know they got that series. I know they think about that series all the time. I just know it. I've seen all them post game interviews. They was making all these excuses and whatnot. No way it happens 2 years in a row.
My man really admitted the lights were brighter than expected.
Yeah, like they think about that. They think about that series a lot. So yeah, I'm going Cavs in 7.
Brandon, what you think about this series?
This is the one where I flip-flop consistently because it's like Jay brings up a good point. They don't have the shooting that if the Cavs get on a hot streak, the Magic are going to lose that series. I know they're a great defensive team. I have a lot of faith in a Jalen Suggs, Jonathan Isaac. Like, I think those guys will clamp. Fultz is a good defender. Like, they have good players, but none that really. And I know, again, like, experience is not everything, but it is something. And I don't think a single player outside of Gary Harris and Joe Ingles has really that playoff experience that is needed outside of a first round. Like, I think Fultz might have had a series. Maybe. I don't even remember if he was actually in a series for the playoffs. But I also – both these teams have their flaws that are really big to me. For some reason, I can't get past the fact that the Cavs just don't look like they really – this is not basketball reason at all. But I just don't feel like the Cavs like each other, or like Donovan Mitchell's kind of wishy-washy on being in Cleveland. So it's like it's one of those things where I can't sit here and say I fully like believe in the Cavaliers, but like I don't know what the Magic can really bring. And then there's also the factor that the Cavs were trying to not play not try to be the second seed, right? I think that's what it was. They didn't want to be the second seed.
They tanked that motherfucker.
Yeah. So I think the Magic might have a little chip on their shoulder too. It's like, oh, y'all wanted to play us? All right, bet. We'll see what that's about. Damn, that's a tough one. Magic are the 5th seed. This is the only one I really like. I'm gonna go Magic in 7. My only reason is I think Paolo might explode in this series. And I know Mobley's a good defender. I don't like Mobley's game. And I don't like Jared Allen's game much either. Like, I think Jared Allen and Wendell Carter kind of wash each other out there. I think Paolo might have a great series. And again, this is to be honest with you, in this one, this is just a vibes pick at this point. It's a coin flip for me. Like me landing on Magic is just a vibe pick at this point. Like I don't know. It could go either way for me. So I don't know what, like I said, I don't know what Franz Wagner is going to bring and Jalen Suggs, but I have faith Paolo Banchero will come through as the best player on the floor. And I know Donovan Mitchell has his moments in the playoffs, but he's also been really bad in the playoffs too. And he's not a good defender. And him and Darius Garland don't really mesh all that well. It's a weird orchestrated team that I don't know how they won 50 games, or 49, given the fact of like them being hurt and all this stuff. So I'll go Magic in 7.
Yeah, like Cleveland didn't really look convincing towards the end of the season. I know they had a really hot streak early. I want to say it might have been January, But to close out the season, I wasn't really too impressed. I know Mitchell was injured a little bit, but like you said, he doesn't seem all in. Like he wants to be in Cleveland long term. Like
that's gonna affect things. Like I don't know. The Cavs just don't give me some type of good vibe when it comes to playoff series, especially after last year with the Knicks. Like I'm on the opposite side of Tay, where Tay thinks they're gonna come through, and that could very well be the case. We could be very wrong, and they could sweep the Magic because they've never played in a series like this. But I don't know if they really have that in them right now. I really don't.
One last series in the Eastern Conference before we move on to the last topic. I'll touch on it briefly. But the Celtics, we're going to be playing the winner of the Heat and Bulls. The Bulls are still in this game, surprisingly. They're down 10 right now. Mm-hmm. They were getting washed by 20. But if the Celtics have to play the Heat, they're going to throw zones out. They're going to fight. With Jimmy Butler being out, it's going to be tough. I just hope Caleb Martin doesn't shoot 41% from three again. But I got Celtics in 5. In all honesty, I want to play the Heat. Wish they was healthy, but I'm tired of everybody saying we're ducking them just because they played us well the past 2 years. And we had a 36% shooter at point guard instead of Derek White with the bald head, who improved our offensive efficiency. Now we have a post-scoring option. I like Rob Williams, but outside of dunks and putbacks, he really wasn't scoring a whole lot. So we have more variety in offense with Kristaps Porzingis. So stop referring to what they've done the past couple years. The Celtics are a better team. I think they come out and prove it. Celtics in 5, and I hope it's in 4. And I hope all the wins about double digits. I wish nothing but bad things for the Miami Heat organization. Now we play the Bulls now. If the Bulls somehow come back, Celtics in 4. Just not a good matchup for them. DeRozan's really not going to do much. He's not even doing much in this game against Miami. They're just not a good playoff performer for whatever reason. Like, this has been consistent going back to Toronto. Yeah, there's not much to say about Celtics and Bulls. Kobe White might have some moments. Sumu seems to play well against us for whatever reason. But, yeah, Celtics at 4. Brandon, how you feel about that?
Whoever are playing Celtics in 4, I need the Heat to lose. So I need the Heat to play us so badly so we can sweep them so badly. Like I said, like you said, I wish Jimmy Butler was in the series. With him out, it's really not even going to matter what the Heat throw at us, because usually Bam was the guy that can come through. Since getting Kristaps averages like 24 and 10 against them. For the 4 games that we played against them, 24 and 10. I'm pretty sure we've won every game, if not even blown them out. Is that correct?
The only game that was close was the game on Super Bowl Sunday. It was like 110, 106. But every other game was a double-digit win.
Okay. Yeah, so I bring me the Heat so we can sweep them and get them the fuck out of here. I'm good. I don't need any more analysis on that. We're going to win. We're going to sweep them. So there's that.
Last thing I'm going to say about the Celtics, I'll keep it brief. Yeah, because Tay doesn't want to talk about it. I can see it in his eyes.
Go ahead. Pick the Heat. Go ahead. Pick the Heat.
Nah, Celtics in 4. Waste of time.
Yeah. Okay.
Either team.
I want to give credit to Joe Mazzulla. I understand last year he was super shitty with the timeouts and the challenges and all that. But to be fair, he didn't have his coaching staff. His whole staff went to Houston with Udoka.
They were ready to leave as soon as that season was over.
Yeah, so you don't have when you don't have a coach that's like behind you, that makes your job tough. When you don't see eye to eye with your assistants, it's tough. So shout out to him for improving. Like, everybody tries to say, oh, he got handed a super team, whatever. But what made me really appreciate Mazzulla this year is we had a lot of guys in and out the lineup in the second half of the season. And players were stepping up. Like, it was times where we were benching our top 7 and still winning games by double digits.
Yeah.
That's coaching. You got Peyton Pritchard, who elevated his game. Sam Hauser, as you mentioned. Neemias Queta improved throughout the season. Luke Cornett went from a motherfucker that looked like he ain't belong in the league to a quality backup center.
Oddly, yeah.
He stepped his shit way up. I used to hate Cornett.
That's a fact. Yeah, Missoula deserves way more credit than he's given. That's probably the only thing that's really pissed me off because I know the Tatum stuff is going to come and the Jaylen Brown, he can't dribble with his left hand. I already knew that was coming. But it was so clear that Missoula stepped up not only like as a coach but a leader. Like everything he does is so competitive. So he's a psychopath for real. Like he really is. He's out of his fucking mind. Like everything that Joe Mazzulla does is just so much better than the year previously. And then also it helps that Sam Cassell and Charles Lee came in from Milwaukee, and I think was it Los Angeles or Philly that Sam Cassell was in?
He was in Philly.
He was in Philly, yeah. So he brought in two coaches that are way more experienced and way more behind the Celtics than the previous coaches that were behind Missoula, because I think that most of them did not like the fact that he was chosen over them.
Mm-hmm.
But you're in Houston, now you're out of the fucking playoffs, so enjoy that. So I'm very happy with Joe Mazzulla this year. A lot of people in the media still think he's not a good coach. I don't see that. He's done a complete 180 in my eyes. Like again, when you have guys that are coming off the bench and Peyton Pritchard's averaging a triple-double when he starts, he's not actually, but like every game it seems like he's getting 20, 10, and 5 or whatever the case is. Like that's absolutely coaching on an elite level.
Yeah, so I need him to get that ring so we can get his respect because like you can tell how much he puts into it. Like he studies. I know like our late game execution isn't the greatest at times, but what I did notice over the last few weeks of the season, he was running a lot of two-man action between Porzingis and Derek White down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to use that instead of like spamming Tatum ISO. So I'm like, okay, I'm seeing that he's trying different shit. Like people don't know. They talk about how many threes he put up, but we're number one in like post efficiency. Like whenever we post up, we got the highest percentage of points out of anybody in the league.
Right. It's an even level, and even if it isn't, it's like our post game is incredible still. Even if it's more so threes, it's the late game executions that of course I'm still worried about, but I think we figure it out, and I think also we have a pretty, I don't want to say easy, because I do think the Knicks will be a team that we'll have to fight for, but
absolutely.
The first two series, I really, even if the Cavs win, I don't see that as being a worry at all. So that's where I'm at with that. So I'm very confident this year, and I'm normally like hesitant to talk shit, but I don't care this year.
Yeah, man, it's looking good, yo. Like all things are pointing towards us getting to the promised land and completing the deal, but it's guys gotta step up, play consistent. I think having Derek White instead of Marcus Smart taking those shots is going to make a difference for one. And I think having Porzingis to throw it down, like down low in the post, and Drew Holiday post up very well too.
Mm-hmm.
So having them two as post options, I think that's going to break it up. Whenever we come out, we firing and bricking threes. Like, you know what? Hey, let's go down to the post, get some easy points. We have guys that can do that. Like, you couldn't throw it down to Rodman Grant last year, respectively.
No, not at all. Definitely not. All right, let's not kill Tay with Celtics talk because I know you don't want to talk about this shit.
Last topic that I wanted to, I've been holding back the whole time. Like I talk about other teams. I'll have like one Celtics segment every 2 or 3 episodes.
That's fair. Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know how the vibe was on that. So
no, like I'm gonna get my shit off, but I don't overwhelm him with it. I talk about the other teams, the players too.
Right. That's fair. Yeah, we did talk about everybody before them actually, so that's fair.
Yeah, that's usually what I do, just to show I ain't biased.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta show we like other teams too, for sure. So
absolutely.
Yeah, he loves the Magic.
That was my pick before the season. Like he can vouch for it. I was like, hey, they're gonna be in the playoffs this year.
That was a good pick. I think I picked the Rockets, which I mean, they almost got in the play-in, but
any other year they probably would have been in. Like 41 wins. Like they improved like a motherfucker.
They did. They really did. And that's we don't have to get into it, but that was a testament to Udoka, and then also Jalen Green had a pretty good month, but I knew he was going to come back down to earth at the end of the season. So
Yeah, we had a discussion. This podcast isn't really big fans of Jabari Smith. Like we expected him to take another leap. And
No, he's like their fifth or sixth best player at this point. Like Thompson I think is a better prospect than him.
yes.
Obviously Sengun is better. Jalen Green's better. Fred VanVleet's better. So that's already like four guys right there. Dylan Brooks, I would take over Jabari Smith right now. Like, the whole starting lineup right now.
Yeah. Not looking good, man. I told them they don't know who he is, but I was like, he reminds me of like Joe Smith, like a really high pick that was just like a role player his whole career.
Yeah.
Like, that's the vibe he's giving right now.
Yeah. That's a solid, yeah. That's absolutely kind of what it is.
You said I don't know Joe Smith?
I said it last time. Y'all was just looking at me.
Oh, I know Joe Smith.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, shooting mid-range jumpers, get like 7-8 rebounds. Like, not be a bad player, but just not be where you was picked at.
Yeah,
that's what we remind me of. But last topic we was going to have was this 2024 Olympic team. For the most part, I like it, but 3 players concern me. Tay, you want to read over the whole list real quick?
You just put me on the spot. Hold on. You got to give me some time.
Oh, my bad. Well, the players that concern me, and I'll swing it to you, Tay, to read the whole list, but I'm concerned about Kawhi being on the team. I'm concerned about Joel Embiid being on the team. I'm concerned about Anthony Davis being on the team. I feel like they need another big man, whether it be Chet, whether it be maybe Paolo, maybe it be Jaren Jackson Jr., maybe. But I'm very, very concerned about the lack of big man depth because 2 out of 3 are injury prone. And then Kawhi has the injury issue too. I would rather Jalen Brunson go than Kawhi, to be honest with you. But I don't know. Like I like the team overall. Tay, you had the roster up?
Yeah. So Team USA is putting out LeBron James, Steph Curry, KD, Joel Embiid, AD, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Bam, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, and Kawhi Leonard.
So the team is solid. I kind of was surprised that they brought Drew on. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, he has Drew. It's something we don't know about. I'm not gonna lie, yo. And that contract too.
You feel he's overrated?
Starting to be.
Like that's what you want to say.
He's starting to be. He's starting to be. I'm not gonna lie, and y'all know it too. Drew Holiday is starting to get there with the 3rd team All NBA last year, and then he got All-Star over Brunson last year. Then he got that. He got overpaid a little bit. Not much. He did get overpaid though. Like 33 was a lot. I think 25 for his age was more than enough.
I wanted to pay Derek White before him.
That's what I'm saying. Like Drew Holiday's a great player. He's starting to get that overrated tag on him. Just being on an Olympic team, like it's a lot of things pointing to overrated. Like like
I don't think he's a great player though. They used to call him underrated back in the day. I'm like, nah, man. He didn't got way too many $100 million contracts. He done been on the Olympic team twice.
Yeah.
Like, nah, he ain't underrated no more. I am surprised he's on there though. I would have took Brunson over him personally. I think Brunson needs to be on
pick Drew over Brunson. They always did. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I feel like Drew just always getting picked over Brunson. Do y'all feel like he's starting to get overrated?
I wanted Derek White paid before him. Derek White's younger, like kind of gives us the same thing. I like Drew, but I wouldn't have gave him a 4-year deal. I'd have gave him like a 2-year deal. But
so is he getting overrated or what? You're not saying it. You're dancing around the answer. I need an answer. I don't
want to say he's overrated, but like I said, you can't call him underrated anymore.
Oh, he's definitely not underrated.
I think that's just over. They used to say
he's not rated correctly either, though. I don't think so. I just there's no way.
I don't want to call him overrated, but I can see why somebody says that. I don't want to say it. Though.
I don't know.
What do you think,
he's
Brandon?
Getting there, man. He's right there. He's pretty much getting there.
He's very much on the verge. But I'm gonna say he's properly rated, but he's on the verge. The thing is I think people are looking at the selection as like a indictment in terms of like, oh, like you should have put Jalen Brunson in there or whatever the case is, and that's true. If we're talking about get the best players of the best players, there's multiple point guards you could take over Drew. I don't want to say multiple, like that's a lot, but there's a couple of guys you could take over Drew Holiday for sure. Like, Kyrie, Jalen Brunson, those guys, right? The thing for me, and I think this is where their heads at when picking, and this is just my guess, is they need a guy who's not really worried about minutes and not really worried about scoring the ball, because you already have Anthony Edwards, you already have Steph Curry, you already have Halliburton who can score but also play make. That's more so why he's there. But then you have Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. Like, those guys already score the basketball at a high clip. My guess is they want a guy who's going to play defense, pass the ball, hit a corner three, go back down the other side. Like, that's pretty much my guess as to why he was chosen. Because if they were to be like, oh, we want Drew Holiday over Jalen Brunson because he's a better scorer, well, then their eyes aren't working. Obviously, that's not the fucking case. Jalen Brunson is clearly a better player. But in terms of that selection, like in terms of him, Drew being selected, I get it. Now, in terms of the payment, I would have definitely preferred Derek White to be paid. I still think he will be, personally. I think they're going to keep those 5 guys and then work around the rest, because you really realistically need 7 guys. I think Al Horford stays on a team deal. Peyton Pritchard already signed pretty much a team deal. So I think those guys are good. But Drew Holiday got paid a lot. Like, I was kind of surprised by that contract, respectfully.
Yeah, like, so where does this team rank all time? I'm hearing comparisons to 20, what was it? I'm hearing comparisons to 96, 92. I feel like the 2012 team don't get enough love. Just my opinion. That team had Bron, Melo, Kobe, Chris Paul, Deron Williams, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Love, Iguodala, Harden, Tyson Chandler, and Anthony Davis. Like, they won gold, and nobody talks about that team. I think that team will beat this team, in my opinion. I think that team got a little too much firepower.
No, they wouldn't.
2012?
I think this team would be.
Durant, Kobe, and Bron?
I'm just thinking technical. Like, I don't know. Like, if I explain myself,
Kobe, Bron, and then Tyson Chandler defending.
Yeah, I think Tyson Chandler, he'd be the reason they lose. Like, I'm thinking too technical. Like, I'm thinking of, like, if they were to play
in 2024 era.
Yeah, like, I feel like 2024 would shoot them out the gym. Like, I'm thinking technical. Like, if you see,
if you understand got shooters. You don't think 2012 got shooters?
No.
Melo gonna let it fly.
Okay, that's one.
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant never was really 3-point.
You know the FIBA line is closer, right?
I mean, not by much, but KD isn't.
James Harden.
Not at this time. These guys weren't. This is a
Chris Paul,
22-year-old James Harden. Deron Williams was not a 3-point shooter. Chris Paul was not. None of these guys. How many people on this list shot over 40% from 3?
Oh, you're looking at percentages. It was a different game, man. Like,
that's why. Thank you. It was a different game. That's exactly why I think the 2024 team will be better.
I don't mean they couldn't shoot though. Deron Williams could shoot like a motherfucker. Are you serious?
Give me Tyrese.
You call older Deron Williams. That's what it is. You didn't see Utah Deron Williams. You didn't really see.
Deron Williams will be the worst player on the 2024 team.
You said what?
Deron Williams would be the worst player on the 2024 team. I know about Deron Williams.
20 and 10, right? Like, he scored 57 in the game, right?
And what is Tyrese average? I think Tyrese is one of the worst. Tyrese cleared Deron Williams. Come on now. Let's not do that. Tyrese Halliburton.
You didn't see prime Deron Williams, and that's why you're saying shit like this.
So you think Deron Williams is better than Tyrese? You think Deron Williams is better than Tyrese? You better not think that. No
prime
way.
Deron Williams is not really like that far off.
Oh, so
Deron
okay,
Williams
so
Tyrese is better. Guy. He was considered the second best point guard in the NBA at the time. It was
And
him
the
and
point
Chris
guard
Paul.
position wasn't all that. So,
It was good back then.
If Deron Williams would not be a top 15 point guard now, and we all know that.
Oh my god!
You know how many point guards in the league? Are you serious?
You're really disrespecting Derek. Let me pull up his numbers, yo. Because like I gotta pull up the numbers to back this up. You're talking ridiculous right now.
Pull up the numbers.
I'll pull them up.
Don't get me wrong. Deron Williams is a good basketball player, but
you say you want to be top 15 in today's NBA with more spacing?
It'd be a stretch. Like you might be able to get him in there.
Like with this pace, like
you might be able to get him in there, maybe.
I was silent just because Jeff hit me that the mic was kind of bouncing around or what was an echo. You're out of your fucking mind, Tay. That is ridiculous. You're out of your fucking skull. There's no way you think that he wouldn't be a top 15 point guard. What year do you remember Deron Williams?
Utah. I say like 2009.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You do not remember Utah. You remember
That's when
Utah,
I started watching
Deron
basketball.
Williams. No,
you remember he was terrible in
Williams. I wouldn't think that he couldn't be a top 10 point guard in the league.
I don't know, man. No,
he got the same numbers as Tyrese.
Nah, Tyrese clears him in everything.
In
what do you mean in everything? He averaged 20 and 10 in Utah.
Tyrese averaged like 24 and 11. It's different
because the pace is different. The pace that end was slower.
Tyrese shoots 41% from three. Does Deron Williams shoot 41% from three? No.
Just
like you can name point guards. Name me some point guards. I'll tell you who I'm taking over Deron Williams. He might be top 15. He might be able to get him at 15, but 10, no way.
You might be able to get him at 15. And the shit.
He only got 3 All-Stars in his era. What makes you think he about to come in now?
It was a tough era for point guards.
There was no point guards back then.
Steve Nash, Tony Parker. Like, what are you talking about?
You didn't name it. Now you're naming role players. Come on now. You're naming role players.
Role players? Oh my!
You know he's a Hall of Famer, right? Like you know Tony Parker's a Hall of Famer, right?
Okay, he would, again another guy. He would not be top 15 in this NBA now at all. Or you're like he's a elite role player. That's what Tony Parker was.
Do you know how fast Tony Parker was? I don't think you know how fast.
I don't care how fast.
He's a guy who's running the floater
with the
basketball. In today's game. If you switch a big on Tony Parker, he's blowing by that big. You have no rim protection. Tony Parker averaged 28 a game in this NBA.
No, he would not. No, he would not.
Nobody can stay in front of him. He was fast as shit. And he had
all these teams with these 6'9" wings that can guard anyone on the court, and they're gonna switch right on to Tony Parker. Nothing. It's not there. Tony Parker, like you can ask me Tony Parker. If we think of Tony Parker in this NBA, would be an elite role player. And how tall is Tony Parker?
He's like 6'3".
And he would be a liability out there. Now, all these teams got these 6'6" guys bringing the ball on the court. Every team got a guy 6'6" and up. No, Tony Parker would be a role player. So would Deron Williams. Deron Williams would be a little bit better, but you're not about to say it's tough. Deron Williams would not.
No, you say he was a 3-time All-Star. I was telling you it's competition. That's why he was a 3-time All-Star.
And that's not really great competition. Like it's not
a 2-time MVP in the same conference. A top 75 player and Chris Paul in the same conference.
I thought you didn't just name.
What do you mean? A Hall of Famer.
Come on,
in the same conference.
You didn't just them gift wrap MVPs they gave to Steve Nash. Come on now.
You got 2 top 75 players.
I already done talking about them
MVPs were terrible. Other guys is slipping my mind that I know I can say.
He would not. Neither of them. I'm mad you said Tony Parker. That just made it even worse. They would not be top 10 point guards in this NBA. Like not even close. I'm not gonna we can name point guards right now. Tony Parker and especially not Deron Williams, but no way.
So Deron Williams, the guy who was scoring all 3 levels, he could finish at the rim, could get you 10 plus assists a game.
He only did that for like 3.
And could shoot the mid range.
Right.
How would he struggle in today's NBA when you
he just wouldn't be? He'd be a good basketball player. He'd be a good basketball player. He would be a liability on defense. For sure. All these teams got these tall point guards. That would be an issue. One. I feel like you gotta be like 6'5" nowadays. But yeah, he wouldn't. So like he wouldn't. He just wouldn't be top 10. Like I can name probably 15 point guard. Like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it. I could probably name 15 point guards that would be better than Deron Williams. Deron Williams was a good basketball player in his time, but for you to hype him up on that Olympics
Like,
team,
why do you think? You know, he was on multiple Olympic teams, right?
good.
Like, he wasn't just on it one time. He wasn't just like a flash in the pan guy. Like, you think that niggas from my era, I'm not gonna let you treat the 2000s and 2010s like y'all do the 90s. I'm not going for it. Like, we set the fucking foundation for how niggas play today. I'm not going for that.
No, that's not true. No, they did
Scoring
not.
point guard started in our era, bro. It wasn't in the 90s. It started in our era.
Like, look how selective though. Like, I mean, would hope they finally learn how to put the ball in the hoop and not pass the ball. They don't get no points for that. Like what you just said. The way now is 3-point shooting point guards, and then
Dirk Nowitzki, and Kevin Garnett. Before that, power forwards wasn't really shooting a whole lot. It started in our era, the early 2000s.
No,
we set the foundation.
Teams was having two players that can
defenders. Sean Marion was guarding 1 through 5 in the 2000s before Draymond Green did it, and they went back and forth about this shit. Sean Marion was guarding 1 through 5 back in the day. You had athletic power forwards back in the day, like the Amari Stoudemires. That came from our era. Amari Stoudemire was Blake Griffin before Blake Griffin. Our era started this whole wave of how niggas play now. Guys shooting a plethora of threes. Ray Allen, that's our era.
No. Everybody's shooting threes now. I'm not gonna let you do that. No, 1 through 5. Their center is shooting 5 threes a game. We're not about to give that to Ray Allen. No. I'm not.
No. As far as the centers, I said it started.
Everybody is shooting threes. If you can't shoot, you won't play. You just won't play in the playoffs.
From our era,
you're naming one guy. You can name every center on a roster, and all of them are shooting three. Every team has a big that can shoot.
You get what I'm saying, though?
That was a rarity.
You get what I'm saying?
Like you're just naming one guy. Like you're naming like anomalies and that's everybody on every team. You're naming Dirk. Look what you just said. Dirk and Kevin Garnett. Those are anomaly guys. Every team has 3-point shooting bigs now. You're naming one guy.
All you need is one guy to change the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
we just needed one. It's not the thing is if we just needed one guy to change how we view basketball. That's why Steph Curry is known as one of the most influential guys because he changed the whole sport. Because no one can stop that short motherfucker from shooting threes from 35 feet out. That's why Dame started doing it. That's why everyone started doing it. But then big guys like Dirk were the reason that big guys now are shooting as well as they are. That's why people look at him and they go, oh, I just did the turnaround jump mid fadeaway, whatever the fuck Dirk used to do all the time. Yeah. I mean, people look at Dirk as one of the most influential guys, even though, he only won one title or whatever the case is. He's one of the most influential guys. All you need is one. Like, our year, 2010s, was the start of everyone now shooting threes. We're not saying that everyone shot threes before. We're saying that was the start. Now, obviously, it was still different, and Deron Williams was fantastic back then. And obviously, we can go back in the day and say Charles Oakley couldn't play in today, but Charles Oakley was a major contributor to teams and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Like James Worthy or whoever. You could throw in any name from back then. They could probably not play today. There's a difference between like good basketball players and transcendent basketball players where they could play in every area. That's why we talk about LeBron as one of the best and Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Those guys can play every year in any era. Deron Williams, maybe he wouldn't have been the most efficient. He also wasn't that bad of a 3-point shooter. He was 36% for his career. So it's not like he was garbage. Like he was a solid 3-point shooter. And also all of his Utah years averaged 19 and 10. Not all of them, besides his rookie in his second year, 16 and 9. But after that, it was 19 and 10 before he went to New Jersey and Brooklyn. So the fact that you think that he could not be a top 15 point guard.
I could name 15. I'm ready.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You could name 15 point guards. You'd be wrong on at least 5.
Definitely.
I want to hear it.
But all right, before I name him, I think Deron Williams, he'd be like Tyler Hero impact kind of guy, like that. That's not that.
Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero gets like 22 a game. just shoot a bunch of shots. But all right, I'm ready.
Hold
when
on,
y'all
wait.
are,
Hold on. No. How tall do you think these point guards that we have today are? Steph Curry is 6'3".
Yeah.
John Morant is 6'3". Like these motherfuckers is
Brunson's
6'3".
5'11". So 5'11" Brunson can get off. Yeah, Brunson.
Brunson is better than Deron Williams. I'm not doing that. Nope. Brunson is
I'll do
way.
that. Like,
we're not even debating that. We're talking about the height.
Time.
We're talking about the height. You act like Deron Williams is like this short dude who wouldn't be able to do shit. And Tony Parker. They're all 6'3".
Tyler Hero.
The only ones that are tall are Luka Doncic.
I just gave him Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero is not a goddamn point guard.
I mean, close enough. He would have the same impact.
Close enough does not mean point guard.
22 a game
does not mean point guard.
On a bunch of shots.
You can't be close enough. That's not how that works. You're either a point guard or you're not. That's not how that works. Tyler Hero could be 6'5". He can't play defense anyway.
For Jamal Murray, regular season Jamal Murray. That's more like it.
For what?
He was a better playmaker. He was a better playmaker. He's a regular season.
I'm just saying, like, relative to the same impact for the team, like that. Like Jamal Murray is
a very good player. So now you're not even arguing that he wouldn't be top 15. He would.
He's all right. Yeah, there's a lot of
Jeff in this shit because I'm getting.
I'll name him.
Now he's Jamal Murray, who is a goddamn NBA champion. Now he's Jamal.
I'll
Murray.
name him.
Name him. We're gonna wrap this topic up.
Oh, okay. All right. Steph.
Yes.
Luka.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
John Morant.
Yes.
Dame.
Yes.
De'Aaron Fox.
Yes.
Where am I at right now?
That's 6.
Okay. That's 6, yeah.
6. All right. Trae Young.
No, he's horrible on defense.
No. Yo, Deron in this era would be better than Trae Young, in my opinion. He's the same amount of assists, more efficient.
The problem, I've also never been a Trae Young guy ever. Short, doesn't play.
I'm
defense.
not either. I hate Trae Young, honestly.
I'm not. I would pick Deron Williams. Deron Williams at his peak to Trae Young at his peak. I'm taking Deron.
Yeah, I'm taking prime Deron. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Brunson.
Yes.
Brunson this year is better than what Deron.
Halliburton.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah. I say yeah. He's a better 3-point shooter. I would take again. We're talking about Deron coming to this era. I would say yes to Tyrese.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Deron. Same amount of
again. The only reason I don't take Trae is because he's super inefficient. I don't like his game at all. I would take Deron to come over here because I think he would be still a 20 and 10 guy, and he'd probably shoot the ball a little better. But he's still like 45, 36 splits. Like he's still decently efficient enough.
Okay.
Yeah, Deron, he had dropped 40 on your ass. Like I've seen the game he scored 57. So
that's what I'm saying. Like he can score. He can get buckets. Even if he wasn't like an elite 3-point shooter, he can get buckets still. But go ahead.
LaMelo.
No.
Are you serious? Yo, LaMelo.
Like I said before, bro.
But running circles around Deron Williams.
Deron Williams is taking Utah to the playoffs year in and year out.
Oh my!
Like I'm not going for LaMelo until he gets a winning record. No,
that's a fact.
No. Plus, he only played like 40 games. Deron was durable until he got to Brooklyn.
That's sad, man.
That's not sad. LaMelo doesn't even play.
At the numbers.
LaMelo, I'm not gonna lie. LaMelo, I'll take LaMelo clears there in every asset of the basketball game. He is leaps and bounds better than Deron Williams.
He gets numbers on a losing team. Like I said, I need to see him get 500. If I place him ahead of anybody. A lot of point guards in this era is past LaMelo up, to be real.
So it's about. So are we talking about players, or are we talking about what their team does?
Individual players, their impact on winning.
I don't care. I don't care what team, because I'm about to name some other players.
Numbers. That's what you're doing. You're like, oh,
no, but no, it's just how they play basketball and who's better. It's not even numbers. I don't care. I'm about to say some people that have less numbers, like Derek White. Derek White clears Deron Williams, and as Celtics fan,
and this.
Are you serious?
And this right now.
You just didn't
this
see
right now.
Deron Williams.
Jeff, if you don't end this fucking episode, I'm gonna lose my mind. He just said Derek White, and I'm a fucking.
He's way better. He can do everything on the basketball court. Deron Williams cannot do everything on the basketball. How's that not better?
Okay,
he can do everything on the basketball court.
Jeff, I got it. So you just compare. You said Deron Williams would be like Jamal Murray, right? Is Derek White? Is Derek White better than Jamal Murray? Is Derek White better than Jamal Murray?
No, man, absolutely not. No, and I like Derek. No way you do this to Derek White with the ball head.
I'll say no.
Then what are we fucking talking about?
I was just being nice. I'm not literally saying Jamal Murray. I'm saying like that kind of regular season impact, like 20 points per game, in and out the lineup, like not an all-star. How many all-stars will Jamal Murray have in his career?
In and out of the
answer
lineup.
0. He would have. He's never gonna be an all-star. That's what I'm saying when it comes to Deron Williams. Borderline, but not there. That's exactly what Deron Williams would be. Tyler Hero, one of them. I'm not like don't get caught up in the literal Jamal Murray like raising his game. I'm not like that. I'm saying borderline all-star, but will never get there. Like Tyler Hero, Jamal Murray, Derek White was close. People were saying Derek White should go to the all-star. Like them guys, they're right there, but will never get there. That's where I think Deron Williams would be. That's where he would be. That it's too many point guards. He'd be outside looking in.
This conversation is taking a turn, and I just don't want to talk about it no more. I really don't. Because he just said
the borderline all-star.
That's what I'm saying.
I get it. But he would take Derek White over Deron Williams, and I'm just not really.
Derek White does more in the court.
Just because the guy's more versatile, it levels to like being the number one option.
Also, that too. Okay, Derek White, because Derek White and Deron Williams are in different positions in terms of what their role is on their team. Yes. You think Derek White can be a starting point guard right now?
20 and 10?
No, he can't. No, he fucking can't. No, he can't.
Playing by himself? Yeah. No, with Karolinko? Yes.
No, he couldn't. No, he
that's
Derek White is
Derek White is a better defender without question. That is the end of the conversation. That's it. Right now, what he does is perfect for what the Celtics need. He would not go to the Utah Jazz and then average 20 and fucking 10. It's just not going to happen.
He wouldn't have the assists, like numbers. He wouldn't have the assists, but he would be better than a 20 and 10 player. Yeah, he would. He would play. He'd be on one of the defensive teams. He would definitely get 20 points per game with getting more shots. Like, let's not act like he didn't have a lot of 20-point games this season when others weren't. Let's not act like Derek White can't just erupt for 20 points all the time. Don't act like he's a bum or anything. Derek White can get 20 points per game for like. I don't even like Derek White. That got me like I don't even care about Derek White, but I know if I have a team, I would take Derek White over Deron Williams to be my favorite for sure. I definitely do. Derek White is a better shooter, better defender, better rebounder. The only thing Deron Williams can produce is probably pass better. But I think if they had the same volume of shots, I would take Derek White too. Just because he's just more efficient too. Only thing Deron Williams got is passing. That's it. That's all he's really better than him at. Like, Derek White sucks. I don't even like Derek White. But he's better than Deron Williams.
To end this show, Deron Williams was a top 2 point guard for about like a 4 to 5 year span.
What
it was
year?
Him and Chris Paul.
Huh?
From about like 06 to about like.
And that's sad. If Deron Williams is a top point guard, that's embarrassing. And you know that. That's sad.
He was a two-time Olympian, man. He was a two-time Olympian. He was a two-time Olympian. He was a good player.
Playing against lesser talent.
All-star. He was a good player. So
you said, 3-time All-Star. That was a top 2 point guard. And let's think about what you just said. He had 3 All-Stars. That's embarrassing. He has 3 All-Stars in an 11-year career, and he was at the top of his position for a period of time. That is embarrassing, and you know that. Look what you just said. You just said a borderline All-Star was the best in his position. That's what you just said. Has 3 All-Stars, 2 All-NBA, 3 All-Stars. He was the best in his position for multiple years. That's embarrassing.
Arguably, it was him and Chris Paul.
Sucked, and he sucked too.
The position didn't suck.
Obviously, if he has 3
guys weren't scoring as much. He brought in the wave of like the scoring.
Obviously not. 20 points per game isn't that a lot. not a lot.
Back then it was because the pace was slower. They didn't score
That's
as
really
much.
not a lot. Like, come on now. Like 24, okay, I'll give you that.
20
whatever.
back then is equivalent to like a 24-ish, 25.
That's exactly what I just said. That's what I said. Like, okay, like nice. Borderline all-star. If he was top 2, why does he only have 3 all-stars?
Because he was in the Western Conference. We told you about who he was going against. Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Tony Parker, every single year.
Like
That's
Chris
who it
Paul
was.
and Steve Nash, okay. But like now you're starting to get the role players at this point. Like Tony Parker.
Well, Tony
and
Parker
Deron Williams.
was a 5-6-time All-Star. So
Like that's not a lot. All these point guards in that league are gonna have more than that, especially Deron Williams. 3 is so easy. Like I think Kyle Lowry, like I think he has more
Lowry
than
got
that.
like 5 or 6.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I've never out of my mouth called Kyle Lowry a top 10 point guard ever. But he at least has multiple all-stars to show for multiple years. Deron Williams has 3 years. 3 years with accolades.
He got hold out of 3 because I would have put him over Tony Parker.
Right.
Tony Parker was only in there because the Spurs were really good. But that to me, Deron Williams to me is like a 5 or 6 time. But he got hold twice or 3 times.
That be happening too. Like sometimes you get good numbers better than guys and they get voted anyway.
3 all-stars isn't a lot to be called the second best in your position. That's
I said for a stretch. He was. Like for the late 2000s, heading to the early 2010s, that was a real discussion.
Now, here's where I can agree in some ways with Deron Williams. When he got to the Nets, he was overly disappointing. He did not give a fuck once he went to the Nets. When he was on Utah, different. Nets, like first year Nets, he was good. After that, no.
And them expectations, he shrunk.
He shrunk after that. Yes. That I agree with. And if we want to argue that, sure. But if we're talking peak for peak, him in Utah, different. Full season he played 19 and 10, 50, 40, 80 splits. Like I'm just saying, like the dude was great. When he was in Utah.
Yeah, he was for his time. Yeah, he was.
But once you hit the New Jersey, Brooklyn era, okay, then that's where he loses me.
And that team was so stacked. Them niggas had like Joe Johnson, old Pierce, old KG, Brooke Lopez, Gerald Wallace.
I wouldn't call them stacked. They were mad old. I wouldn't.
I mean, Joe wasn't old though. That's what made the team confusing. Like Joe, Brooke, they had like Andre Blatch off the bench and Deron Williams young. Like they weren't that old. It was KG and Pierce was old as hell.
No, again, Deron was kind of just a hoe at that point. But yeah.
I remember
that's where I would agree with Tay on that end. But again, if we're talking Utah, Deron, I'm just not gonna go with taking Derek White or a guy who hasn't won anything yet in LaMelo. He only got 1 All-Star right now too. Yeah. And I don't see him I don't know if he gets another. If he can't stay healthy, ain't no point at picking him.
Yeah, it's a make or break season for LaMelo next year. You heading into year 6, man. Like you see Ant-Man taking off, and it's getting thick. He gonna have to get to the playoffs. Tay, I know that's your man's, but they gotta get to the record.
Because
you got like I said, you got Jalen Brunson in there now as the best guy. I guarantee you, Dame is probably staying in the East, and because if he leaves Milwaukee, he's probably staying East, so he'll still be there. Like Tyrese Halliburton, like that's another one. Who else did you mention today? Maxey.
LaMelo can be better than Tyrese Maxey. He can.
I'm not sure.
He can be. He absolutely can be.
He can be better than him.
Maxey's can absolutely be better than Maxey. He just has to prove it.
Maxey's gonna be there. He's gonna give me 75 games at least.
Yeah.
He's gonna play his heart out every time he out. He's gonna give a fuck. Like I see LaMelo sometimes just bullshit shots and passes, and him and Trae Young, they just don't be focused all the time out there.
Yeah, Trae Young pissed me off way more than LaMelo. LaMelo's more of an injury thing, I'm not gonna kill him because he plays for the Hornets. You know what I mean? But like, if you're that great, you're gonna elevate them to at least getting an 8th seed, at least. So we'll see what he does. I like the core of what they have for next season, but we'll see.
But appreciate everybody pulling up, going ahead. This episode up soon. All playoff predictions and everything. Been dope. We're gonna holler at y'all next week when these series get really cracking for real.